All right, all right. Islam. Hold on. All right. Islam, and welcome to MHHS Eyes Wide Open. This is your host, Anita Ill, along with my co-hostesses, Ms. Raheem Alice Ill.
Peace and love, Anna E. How are you this night?
I'm doing
Peace
great.
And love. All right, that's what I'm talking on. Peace and love to all Moors.
All right. Rosaraya Bay.
Islam, peace and love. How are you tonight?
I'm doing fantastic.
All is well.
All is well.
And Azwa Islam.
Islam, peace and love to all Moors, worldwide, universe-wide. You see?
All right, Islam.
I don't know why I feel like we need some Aboriginal indigenous drum beats right now. I don't know why. But,
all in all family.
Oh.
It really does feel. It feels good, man. It feels good. I didn't know it was gonna be this simplistic, but it is. But it feels good tonight. Good to hear everybody.
Before we get started, I just want to send a shout out to all the family listening around the world. Oh, and we have a new bunch of family listening over, where was it, Norway? Blog Talk does this demographic, and it shows us worldwide who is listening. So we got some Moors over there in Norway that's been listening. So Islam, some Moors over in Norway.
What'd you say, Kuja? Oh.
I said Islam Moors. We'll just call it Morway from now on.
Norway. Hey, listen. I bet you one thing. They know national principles when they hear them, and they know what's not national principles. I bet you that.
Yes, absolutely. So, big shout out to our family listening worldwide. Yeah, it is Norway. I just had to double check because I couldn't believe it when I went and was just looking around and we got some people are listening over in Norway. All right.
Excellent. Welcome, family. Yes. Hey, the U19 of Asia, which is the entire planet. That's right. That's exactly right.
And just to be absolutely lawfully correct, Norway is a corporation. So those boards are near the corporate construct known as Norway. They're not.
That's why we don't call it Norway.
All right. So for the just to be clear.
Jurisdiction. It's Morway.
Morway. That's how it's going to be.
You know, there's been so much stuff thrown on the floor, like a glove thrown down, like a challenge. And I'm not into accepting challenges, but I am absolutely into reviewing information from all sources, studying it, analyzing it, and, disclaiming it or accepting it based on my information, not my opinion, but my information based on congressional records, based on lawful terms, based on universal principles and universal natural law, and just plain common sense. Prophet Noble Drew, he said, if I can just get you word here is think. You would free yourself. So today's broadcast is entitled More Misinformation Being Thrown on the Floor. So we are going to give an exercise in discernment and analysis, trusting that it will assist all in reviewing information and coming to lawful, not legal conclusions. So get your pens and papers out and get ready to take notes, because the order of the day, as this demonstration will show, is nationality. And as such, many are crawling out from under rocks and woodwork in an attempt to pull you away from the supreme law of the land and universal natural law. This is for the young and yet unborn, Moors, and those other citizens, i.e. modern Europeans branded American or UDA citizen, because you know American is not a nationality. So that's a brand as well if you're using it in that capacity. So wake up. It's a lot of work to be discussed, a lot of work to do. And we're going to start out with this rebutting this misinformation disguised as the untold truth. And before I start, I want you to put in the front of your mind just sanguinese. Just sanguinese is the right of blood. It is your nation. Just sanguinese. It says that your nationality is based on blood. It's not based on what part of the geographical landmass you were born, and it has absolutely nothing to do with corporate affiliation or corporate activity at all. So, for all you Moors out there who wonder about, okay, what is nationality? Or this is the cross. I got to get my nationality. I got to get it. I got to go find it. I got to go capture it. I got to go, tie it up in a truck. Let me tell you, your nationality is in your blood. It ain't outside of you. It's inside of you. That's why Prophet Noble Drew said that no one can change your national descent line. See where they're being national? No one can change that. Not no one outside of yourself. And since your mother birthed you, you get your lineal descent bloodline from your mother. Now, if you think it comes from your father, then you will get caught up in that substitute mother and corporate activity, because your bloodline comes from your mother. You have to be clear on that. If you ain't clear on that, you're susceptible to all sorts of misinformation, because it's her blood that runs in your veins. So hear me. I be looking at some of these webs that sometimes I will occasionally read Facebook, but it pains me too much to read some of the things that people say on Facebook. And then, I don't get into looking at too many videos on YouTube, because the comments there pains me too much as well. When I listen to the misinformation and the misguidance and the running after this and that people are demonstrating, I'm going to say this for you, and I hope you hear me. Please hear me. You can't go get your nationality because it's already within your body. All right? Stop trying to get what you already got.
What we have.
It's in your blood. Nationality is in your blood. Nationality is in your blood. That's why it is not open for discussion, because it is in your blood. Now, if you can get that, then no one can trick you, which is why Prophet Noble Drew Ali said, study, study, study. Now, there's a whole lot of misinformation. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get through it all, because you've got to look at a lot of the definitions that are being bandied about, like ethnicity and race. Let me read you a little something I found on ethnicity and race. It says, genetic evidence has undermined the idea of racial divisions of the human species and rendered race obsolete as a biological system of classification. Race, therefore, should no longer be considered as an objective category as the term formerly was in expressions like the Caucasian race, the Asian race, the Hispanic race. Instead, if the reference is to a particular inherited physical trait as skin color or eye shade, that salient feature should be mentioned specifically. Discrimination based on color. Rather than using race to generalize about national or geographic origin or even religious affiliation, it is better to be specific. Korean of Polish descent. References to cultural affiliation may refer to ethnicity or ethnic group, Kurdish ethnicity, Hispanic ethnicity. Though race is no longer considered a viable scientific categorization of humans, it continues to be used by the U.S. Census to refer to current prevailing categories of self-identification that include some physical traits, some historical affiliation, and some national origin, Black, white, American, Indian, Chinese, Samoan, etc. The current version of the census also asks whether or not Americans are of Hispanic origin, which is not considered a race. There are times when it is still accurate to talk about race in society, though race has lost its biological basis. What? Race has lost its biological basis. Because guess what? It never described the people from a national perspective. It was more along the lines of hearsay, slander. And that's why it was categorized as discriminative or discriminatory. Now, ethnicity describes an ethnic group, a social group that shares a common and distinctive culture, religion, language, or the like, ethnic trait, background, allegiance, or association. So there again, ethnicity really isn't describing a nationality either. It's more of in line of similarity and affiliation, having nothing to do with your bloodline, lineal descent bloodline, and it is not anthropologically based. So these things mean nothing. So I want to get to this untold truth about the game self-proclaimed leaders play on indigenous Aborigines by this guy, Dane Calloway, who not too long ago we thought that his analysis of the driver's license fraud was pretty interesting and pretty cool, and about it and shared it in one of our previous broadcasts. Here this dude wants to now slander us, RV Bay Publications, for no unknown reason, really. So I'm going to start off with this self-proclaimed leader business. We've never professed to be leaders. We simply provide information with reference from credible sources and or for analysis to build critiquing and discernment skills. Now, indigenous people does not reference indigenous people does not reference the original people, Aboriginal indigenous people. That would be Moors, granted Negro, colored, Black, African American, Ethiopian, etc. Though that is a clear distinction. You can call somebody indigenous, but there is a big difference between indigenous and Aboriginal Indigenous. Aboriginal Indigenous is referring to the first people of planet Earth. That's all your Moors, melanated people, branded Negro, colored, black, African American, whatever. He goes on to talk about what is nationality and quotes a definition out of the Webster's 1828 dictionary. But you can't talk about nationality without including just sanguine, or your conversation is empty, which it starts out being. According to the definition quoted, it is a noun describing a national character with having the quality of being national or rather strongly attached to one's own nation. But what are you attached to a nation by? You're attached to a nation by bloodline. So you've got to bring in just sanguine, which is nationality based on blood. Now, if you are talking about nationality based on geographical location, well, that will be just Soleil, and that would be all those who are not a part of the human family and have to be adopted in. That would be your modern Europeans. Determines the quality or character which arises from the fact of a person belonging to a nation or state. Determines the political status of the individual, especially with reference to allegiance, while domicile determines his civil status. Nationality arises either by birth or naturalization. The rebuttal to that is, so what is the nation and what would the national character be? Look toward the word national. You cannot talk about like nationality without talking about just sanguinese, which is based on blood, not location, and certainly not corporate affiliation. One's nationality is only determined by blood, lineal descent bloodline having nothing to do with the naturalization clause. Other nationals, i.e. family from other parts of the earth with the same protection but not the same inheritance. As to nationality based on blood, not to be confused with birth, B-E-R-T-H, referring to ships or vessels, this is based only on the mother, as the egg comes from her and she birthed the egg. She birthed the egg she came here with. So we are back to lineal descent bloodline. Who's your mama? His comment. Naturalization is a process where any foreign-born person can become a citizen of a country legally. The rebuttal, again, the naturalization process spoken of in the 1790 statutes applies only to Moors who did not fight in the war against the Moors of Al-Marak, i.e. America. Aboriginal indigenous people can never be foreign, and your place of birth has nothing to do with nationality. Citizenship has to do with corporate activity, i.e. who do you belong to, and was intended only for you to determine what family of nation owned what corporation. For example, the first company that was established, well, actually the first three companies that was established by the British Moors on American soil, Moroccan soil, was the Virginia Company, the Plymouth Company, and the London Company. So the question asked, what is the citizenship of these companies? So that question means who owns you as you sit on Moroccan American soil. And if you go into the Secretary of State of any Union State corporation, and you look up any corporation, there is a certain in their description, and it says citizenship. I think it says either citizenship or nationality. If the corporation was established in accordance with that state, it will say domestic. If the corporation was established in another union state corporation, it will say foreign, and it will list that other state as the citizenship that this corporation has. So all of this talk of nationality and citizenship, you can't talk about citizenship really, because citizenship really is not talking about anything. When you hear the word citizenship, they're really trying to trick you into saying, what's your nationality? If you don't know, you might say, U.S. citizen. Who can claim a nationality? It is a right written within the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, Article 50, Section 1 and 2. Quote, everyone has the right to a nationality. No one shall be arbitrarily deprived of his nationality, nor denied the right to change his nationality. The rebuttal. Although the Declaration of Human Rights affirms what already is, nationality is based on blood and it cannot be changed. It can be corrected.
Correct.
For example, if you are branded a citizen of U.S.A. where it says nationality U.S.A. as the fraudulent passport denotes, this can be corrected because U.S.A. is not a flesh and blood being. You are, and as such, you must correct this. So what is your lineal descent, bloodline? Who's your mama? Being born in a geographical location. This is the statement by the brother here. Being born in a geographical location does not grant one a nationality. Being born in some countries will grant you citizenship, but it will never grant you a nationality because a nationality must be claimed. Rebuttal. A geographical landmass does not determine one's nationality. The bloodline coming from the mother does. International law affirms that nationality is based on bloodline. This is why in the jurisdiction of corporations such as China or Japan, you are a national based on bloodline. That is the standard for other nations, especially China and Japan. I know this firsthand as I assisted a more national of Japan, and their laws are based on ancient law, which is bloodline, not corporate affiliation. That's a United States of America trick. The next comment made, highly critical with respect to the legal status of all Americans, no matter your ethnical background. Rebuttal. Look up the definition of ethnical. It is not used anywhere but with employees of the United States of America as it was found to be prejudicial, substantiated. So what exactly does a modern word have to do with an ancient determination of nationality based in nature's law, not corporate policy? Also, one must be very careful when using the word legal, as legal does not always include law, but lawful must always be based on law, specifically the laws and principles of the universe and nature, again, having nothing to do with corporate activity and policy. Next statement made by this brother, are you a U.S. citizen? According to Title 18, Section 2340, subsection 3, United States means the several states of the United States, the District of Columbia, and the Commonwealth territories and possessions of the United States. My rebuttal, United States is the United States of America with the All America portion dropped. It is a union corporation established to protect the various states/companies that agreed to be members of that union, much like people are members of the iron union or the carpenter union. All members of the union have their beginnings as companies, 3 being the Virginia Company, the Plymouth Company, and the London Company. So Title 18, Section 2340, subsection 3 is correct, as much as the codes are correct and apply to corporations and corporate activity only. Next statement. The District of Columbia's current status. Look at the official website of D.C.gov under statehood. It states D.C. residents seek statehood. because it is the most appropriate mechanism to grant U.S. citizens who reside in the District of Columbia the full rights, privileges of American citizenship. Rebuttal. The District of Columbia can never be a member of the Union States. American Constitution, Article 5, Section 3. But no new state shall be formed or erected within the jurisdiction of any other state, nor any state be formed by the junction of two or more states or parts of states without the consent of the legislature of the state concerned, as well as the Congress. You've done your homework. You know the Congress adjourned on the 28th of March, 1861 in Senadilla. So there's no way the District of Columbia will ever be a lawful, a union state lawfully. The United States is his next statement. The United States is the only nation in the world with a representative democratic constitution that denies voting representation in the national legislature to the citizens of the capital. That would be the District of Columbia. Rebuttal. Who are the citizens of the capital? If the District of Columbia, like the United States of America, is a corporation, how can any flesh and blood being be in a fiction identified as the District of Columbia Corporation? I mean, didn't he just say that Title 18, Section 2340 says that the United States of America, United States, District of Columbia, these are all corporations? So who's in the corporation? Who's in the corporation? How does a flesh and blood being get into something that was created and only exists in the minds of men? Because ain't nobody else in my mind. And I know ain't nobody in the minds of the people who created these corporations either. All right, so you really got to do some critical thinking because this all sounds good. It was presented with some great movements of color and imagery, but you don't get caught up in the light, the play on light. You have to, and it took me all day to do this, and I'm not done. It took me all day to go through every single statement of misinformation that this brother put down, and just from my own study, I was able to discredit it. So we all have to be able to do this because things are going to drop in your lap, and you're going to have to be able to analyze it and either move it off of your plate or look at what parts of it you can use. On this particular issue, when it comes to nationality, you can't use none of this. Or unless you're a corporation, then it's right up your alley. Mm-hmm. The next statement is the statehood issue and lack of voting rights belongs to the residents, or rather capital citizens of Washington, D.C. The citizens having and being residents of a corporation, in this case Washington District of Columbia, would be corporations or employees who are on the board of directors of any corporation. Today, people are misled to believe they are voting in a corporation capacity, yet they are not on the board of directors. So the whole theory of voting is a myth designed to give people the impression that they have a say in corporate activity. You don't. Nationality and statehood. Rebuttal. Nationality, once again, is based on bloodline on American soil. Statehood is based on the provisions of the Moroccan-American Constitution of 1791. The next statement, Section 101, subsection A, subsection 21 of the Immigration Naturalization Act from U.S. It defines the term national as a person owing permanent allegiance to a state. This means an oath is required to a state in order to have permanent allegiance to a state. Therefore, the state would have a permanent population. Rebuttal. The Naturalization Act of 1790 was established to clothe Moors with protection, not inheritance, as their inheritance is where their lineal descent bloodline domiciled and was restricted only to Moors who fought in the war between the British Moors and the Moors of Almorac. This act, in the first line, says it applies to free white persons. If you've done your studies, you know free white persons does not include modern Europeans or corporations. A flesh and blood being ought only and truthfully can only make an oath of allegiance family, i.e. lineal descent bloodline. That is where the universal protection is, not in pledging yourself unknowingly to a foreign corporation on American soil that your ancestors gave permission via the Treaty of Peace 1786 to continue operating the British corporations established in the 15 to 1600s with the full protection and financial backing of the Moors of Almorac, Morocco today labeled America. Do the research. Next question. Residency is a transient status, visiting. A person who moves from place to place, therefore residency cannot be counted as permanent whatsoever. Rebuttal. Residency of a flesh and blood being is not possible, as no being can reside within a corporation, as it is a fiction, created and existing in the minds of man only. It cannot speak, move, converse, and it's simply a slick way for employees of the various corporations to hide. Next quote. In the 7701, now we're referencing the Internal Revenue Service Code, under Title 26, Section 39, citizens residing outside the U.S. If any citizen or resident of the United States does not reside in any United States judicial district, such citizen or resident shall be treated as residing in the District of Columbia for purposes of any provision of this title related to A, jurisdiction of court, or B, enforcement of summons. Rebuttal. Title 26 is not positive law, and the Internal Revenue Service is not an agency of the United States of America. This was affirmed in the codes themselves, an IRS disclosure officer document, and in the case Diversified Metal Products Incorporated versus Tebow Company Trust, Internal Revenue Service, and Steve Morgan. Therefore, this is not relevant to the flesh and blood being. Next entry. Congress divided the United States into districts. There are 94 federal judicial districts, including at least one district in each state, the District of Columbia and Puerto Rico. Rebuttal. There are 12 districts comprising the United States of America as judicial districts for business purposes. And by the way, Puerto Rico is a municipal corporation and went bankrupt this year. Clue here is municipal corporation. Therefore, this corporation is not one of the union states. So it does not apply to flesh and blood human beings and has nothing to do with nationality or national principles. Next statement. To be found in a district would mean that an oath or affirmation to a state must be in existence in one of the judicial districts of the United States. Rebuttal. As a flesh and blood being, why would you make an oath or affirmation or allegiance to a state instead of your lineal descent bloodline? This is what declaring is all about. Declare about your lineal descent bloodline. And then, if you so choose, you can proclaim. However, the key is to be clear. Next statement. This means all citizens are citizens of the District of Columbia. This also means that U.S. citizens are stateless because the District of Columbia is not a state. The reason they have been seeking stateless. With U.S. citizens not possessing an oath or affirmation to anything, this is strong evidence that U.S. citizens are stateless persons. Rebuttal. citizens can only apply to corporations that will be a citizen or having citizenship to a union state. If you check any Secretary of State website and look up a corporation, there is a place on their website that says citizenship, or it may say nationality, and in its place will be domestic or foreign. The corporation was established with the union state corporation. It will list that union state and domestic. If established with another union state, it will list that union state corporation and foreign. I'm going to stop at a certain place, but there's one thing that I want to read because, and I think it might be coming up, but I want to read it in the order that it was given. And then once I get to that one statement, which is going to cancel out everything that was said, I'm going to yield the floor. So I'm going to try to hurry up and rush through.
Don't rush. Don't rush. Don't rush. Because the information you're sharing is...
I'm not rushing through, but I want everybody listening. These are the statements that was made. This is the rebuttal. This is just based on, the research that we've done and published on the RV Bay Publications website, by the way, for people to have access to, because the congressional record is not user-friendly. A lot of the information that we have found over the years, you can't even find it now. So if we hadn't taken it and put it in a place where everybody worldwide could find it, then it wouldn't be available now. Oh, and by the way, have you heard this little bit of ditty?
RV Bay is probably RV Bay Publications is probably the biggest Moorish website on the face of the earth right now.
Daddy.
That was high.
That wasn't. Y'all funny. Y'all know y'all funny for that. Cool, I got you. Yo, cool Joe, you said I got jokes, I'm funny? No, bro. Yo, hilarious.
All right.
Your mom's idea. So let me continue so I can yield the floor. So with next statement, with no claim to a nationality in no state means you are stateless, and also means you have no legal standing in any court of law. Rebuttal. So being clear about your lineage, descent, bloodline, and then making a proclamation of such is the claim. This is what RV Bay Publications assists people worldwide in doing. This does not require in your lineal descent foreign immigrant slaves to accept, recognize, approve that which is flowing in your veins. As previously stated, and can be substantiated via congressional records, all states had their origins in companies. So how does a foreign corporation on American soil get to determine a flesh and blood human being's lawful, not legal standing when standing etymologically is talking about status? All flesh and blood beings have standing. However, you must first ascertain that you are in a lawfully seated court and not a municipal ministerial venue which has no judicial powers, as they are incompetent. That can be found in the case law Miller versus, Miller versus Thompson. All right, now, and here, this is it. Thank you. I was going to put that in here, so I got to make a note to do that. So, and this is where I'm going to yield the floor. I can talk about some more. I'm not going to yield the floor because there's something else I want to say. But this statement really cancels out everything that was said. Stateless persons are strictly under the privilege of any district or state that will grant them residency, and all other rights established does not exist. Are you ready? Except for one's human rights. Except for one's human rights. This is not and E, this is in the brother's dissertation. Stateless persons are strictly under the privilege of any district or state that will grant them residency, and all other rights established does not exist except for one's human right. Human right is the order of the day. I do not think Dane thought this one out very well. He says stateless persons, whoever they are under the privileges that are granted. All other rights does not exist except human rights. Well, were we talking about something other than human and their unalienable birthright?
Obviously.
All right. So there's some more rebuttals, but I want to jump to the last portion at marker 1114. He goes in and says the Moor Science Temple of America is an industrialized corporation which is incorporated as a civic organization. Now, this is quoted right from the prophet's writings, I believe. But then he added this, which comes from him, is not part of the prophet's statement, cannot be substantiated, and is his own opinion. He adds on to the prophet's statement, or fraternal society for nonprofit use, but later changed to a 501c3 religious organization to be tax exempt as a business overall, but not for any of its followers or untitled ranking members. My rebuttal. In this portion of the recital, at marker 1114, it is stated, it states correctly that the Moor Science Temple of America, note, there is no mention of a corporation here, is an industrialized corporation which was incorporated as a civic organization. When did this civic organization have its beginning? If I'm not mistaken, I believe that was 1913. Y'all correct me if I'm wrong. The writing appears after that, or fraternity society for nonprofit use, but later changed to a 501c3 religious organization to be tax exempt as a business overall, but not for any of its followers or untitled ranking members. Don't know where that is coming from. To be made up by the author. Since the first part is the direct quote from Prophet Noble Ali, who never was obligated to pay taxes as a temple like many churches and mosques under the first Bill of Rights. There are members, however. In the Moorish Holy Temple, there is no such thing as untitled ranking members. That sounds like...
I don't even know what that is. What the hell is that?
Right.
But you know what? Let me just add. I don't want to cut you, but whatever he's reading right there, somebody out of maybe one of these temples may have added that themselves.
Well,
because
I would, you know what? I'm not sure because of his next statement. Now, his next statement, he throws in the incorporated Moorish Science Temple. He says, Moorish Science Temple of America Incorporated is an independent organization under the laws of the federal government agency called the IRS, not the Moorish laws like they promote, meaning they are not affiliated with any national organizations, groups, or people such as indigenous aborigines. Excuse me, but I thought we were the aboriginal indigenous people. In other words, they are not even capable of even assisting you with properly claiming your true nationality as they claim, because they don't even have a true nationality for themselves, being as they are publicly verified as an independent contractor for the federal government doing business as an industrialized religious corporation. Rebuttal. This portion of the recital is referencing an establishment based and affiliated with Philadelphia, Pennsylvania at 2259 North 5th Street. This is not a temple constitutionally established by Prophet Noble Ali that I'm aware of, and does not represent all the temples across the nation. also to lump all Prophet Noble Drew Ali's work from 1913 and all the temples around the world into something that one individual set up is gross misinformation and does not speak to an investigative reporting skill, but does speak to sensationalism and a cry for attention. This is void for defect.
Wait. Isn't that, wait a minute. I'll tell you, right here, I believe, you correct me if you're wrong, because you're looking at it. This is where, after he sets that up like that, he was very clever with his thing, but if you've studied, you'll know. Then after he does that, talks about these temples who have made the 501c incorporation, etc., right? Then he segues and says, such as R.V. Bay Publications. Well, wait a minute.
I'm getting ready to read that. I'm getting ready to read that.
This guy is
I'm getting ready. This will just about wrap up my little presentation, and we'll yield the floor. He said after that, read and totally understand everything before you sign up with any organization claiming that they can assist with a nationality card, travel card, etc., like Moor Example of America Incorporated, affiliated organization called the R.V. Bay Publications, because those same people can be removing you from one negative thing and placing you deeper into negativity purposely or inadvertently. Be advised, those types of people will state a bunch of gibberish. Miss, you pulled my coattail to that word gibberish, to make it seem as if they know the law, but then turn around and say things like this on their website. And the things that he states on their website is actually, he reads from MSTA1913.org website, trying to attach this MSTA1913.org website to R.V. Bay Publications when it has nothing to do with R.V. Bay Publications. But my rebuttal is I agree. All must read and totally comprehend everything. After all, that is what Prophet Noble Drew Ali strongly advised all Moors, branded Negro, colored, blacks to do. Study, study, study. If I can just get you to thinking, you free yourself. This is an example or an exercise to implement what you have studied and how you think and analyze. For the record, R.V. Bay Publications is not an affiliate organization or organization of any Moor Science Temple of America Incorporated. In fact, on the website, it states the only Moor Science Temple of America not incorporated on a Moroccan-American soil near the corporate construct Canada, i.e. Canaan land war, that R.V. Bay Publications is in association with and supportive of. That will be the Canaan Land War Science Temple of America, hosted by our son, Cujo Aguail. It's right on the website. It has a mailing location that is not 2259 North 5th Street, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, which this brother is trying to lump everybody in and throw them right under the bus. All right? And then scoop them up and throw them in the trash can. Not having it. So we are talking gibberish. Do you know what this word means? Miss pulled my coattail to the word gibberish. It says unintelligent or nonsensical talk or writing, highly technical or esoteric language. Oh, so we're talking esoteric language, yeah. And then to rebut, he tries to attach R.V. Bay Publications to this MSTA1913.org website, and my rebuttal is the above quote. Although it is, in fact, a quote from Prophet Noble Drew Ali, Dane Calloway took this from a website that R.V. Bay Publications is not aware of nor affiliated with. This appears to be an attempt at trickery. R.V. Bay Publications is not a 501c3, not an MST of A, and does not take membership.
Right.
So with that,
Oh, you can't go too far. Hold on. That's statement right there. That's the only 3 things that I put up on the site, and I realized the way he said, like, it sounds all good, and then they say, like RV Bay Publications, as if we are MST of A or a 501c or, and then he associates us specifically. You just cleared it up with this temple that obviously is a 501c at Philadelphia, and and we're not associated with them. I don't even know where it is or if I even stepped into the place, and we're not associated, but the way he did it was to make it all sound good, just like they do in the news and stuff, and then say he slipped in there, like RV Bay Publication. We are not an MSTFA. What the heck is, No, and then the other thing is that quote that looked like it comes from our site with the beige background comes from another site, as you just identified where it comes from. Right, somethingmst.org. So this guy is absolutely slanderous. I will say this. Right, we're not an MSTFA. We don't take memberships, all right? And we're not a 501c3 establishment or any derivative of same. Truth and falsehood is strangely mixed at these times, especially. See, the prophet already said that. He said truth and falsehood is strangely mixed. At these times especially, you must be very methodical, I got that from you, when searching for truth, and recognize not only that which is false, but those beings who are false. This is why and when study is and always has been paramount. You're looking at it right now because you can easily be misled. Careful. This is another warning that the prophet gave. He said somewhere in turbans and feathers could put you back into slavery. I'm saying careful. Some wear turbans and feathers, and some who do not wear turbans and feathers will send you back into enslavement, all right? Because this guy, has anybody asked him, you don't even need to ask him really, what his nationality is. Hello? But you people who are tagging on, talking about, yes, I want to get my nationality, brother, what do I do? He can't send you to get your nationality because he just said you already have it. It's about bloodline, right? But you're doing that, and you didn't even ask him what his was. You see? And he's going to give you a package for $39.99, and it's all steeped in what? The corporate activities the modern Europeans have thrown away. We already know that. They threw that stuff away because they tried to be the national team. They cannot be that because they are not that. So they threw it away. And then this guy is calling you foreign? This is a big mistake to give away your ancestral estate. I don't care what condition it's in. Because the truth is, the only reason why it's in this bad condition is because you, the Aboriginals, the true nationals here, have not made your self known as to who you are. All right? It's just like when someone says we're going to nationalize, our country or our nation. You can't even begin to think about it until you yourself is in the national mindset, which is what this is all about and why we know it's for the oncoming generation. It's for you listening, but it's happening because that's the only way it can happen. It's through you being in the national mindset, not being in the mindset of I'm going to look. Political allegiance means what family are you a part of, and this fool is telling you to take an allegiance to a state that is a corporation. Are you kidding? And the other thing is, we have to clear this up. He said that the government you seek already exists. It's the U.S.A. Well, he didn't study very well on that one either, because that was set up by you, by your ancestors, on your ancestral estate, and it was not set up for you to be a member /citizen, same thing, to is. All right? And the 13th Amendment, you got something out there with that. It tells you clearly in there you could never be a citizen of that. Now, he's talking about giving numbers. Why would you give numbers? That's how this whole thing, a part of the whole thing when they were talking about, what was that, 2/3, 2/5, or 3/5 of a person and stuff. They weren't even talking about human beings. They were talking about property. All right? So you're going to go and give numbers so they can be propped up to say, look how many members we have, members/citizens we have. And he's telling you to go to make an allegiance to that. That is an absolute travesty. Absolute travesty. So his intent is to take you away from the path in which you have been on, and we certainly have been on with you. So I just, there's so much going on, but these are those days. This is why we told you that it was paramount to study so that you could do exactly what we've just done. There is no rebuttal to what was shared with you tonight. That you can't rebut bloodline. That's what, bring yourself back. Listen, when he talks about, it said that, we're making our members better citizens. That's a statement that the prophet made, specifically talking about the association, the temple membership, because that's exactly what he was doing, is making those members /citizens, same thing, better to go out. And he said it, now, go out on my word. That means all that was taught, right? And take your place amongst the families of nations. You can't do that until you have what national principles are. And you got people that want to steer you away and tell you to take an allegiance to a corporate state or even a republic state. Let's just say that the states were operating like Article 6 says, all right? And they were republics. They're still not for you because they were not set up for you. You're the national. You're the aboriginal. And you made it real clear when the articles of the National Constitution are for corporations. The Bill of Rights are for natural people. and you know what? Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know what? And this is why, look, we were not, it's just, you know what? Everything is so divinely guided because we started reading the book and that gave us some serious information that is not told, that makes so much stuff clear. Like, you had movies like 12 Years a Slave that kind of gave you a little bit, they let you know, wait a minute, these people, the Aboriginal indigenous people on this land was very, very prosperous when modern Europeans came on to this land. Had businesses, homes, was waited on by modern Europeans. Then they put Django out there. Django has so many teams. It was ridiculous. All right? Then we find these books. The oldest book that I have found so far is from 1974. I'm going to read that after White Cargo, The Untold History of Britain. What is it? What is it called? White Cargo of Britain's, what is it? Oh, my gosh, I can't find the book.
Which one are you talking about? The one you gave me? The one you gave me just by D. Masterson?
The one that we're reading.
Oh, it's called White Cargo, The Forgotten History of Britain's White Slaves in America by Don Jordan and Michael Walsh.
There you go. Britain's White Slaves in America. Now, the book that I'm going to read after that is a bit on the gruesome side. I think that you should, if you have children listening to these readings, you might want to send them to bed early and you listen first to see if it's appropriate, because very gruesome how the British Moors treated the modern Europeans. It's very gruesome. But the point that I'm making is, without that information, which, look, Prophet said he's going to make the Europeans tell the truth, it's starting to come out. Without that information, you will make an assumption that a state is a government. But what is a government? Do you know, I was watching this show called Outlander. It was so, I'm telling you, I don't know why I was watching it, but I was watching it, and in one of the episodes, the girl, I think she's British or English, and she goes to this place, I think she tries to study to become a doctor, and she walks in, and the modern European says to her, "Oh, look, you're a woman and a nigger," something like that. And I was like, wait, what? I have to rewind it. And this is supposed to be from the late 1960-ish era over in Great Britain. This is what she says. But also, what I found is when I was watching this series, it gave a little bit of historic. It goes back. It goes back to the 1700s of Scotland, and then it comes forward to the 1950s, 60s of Great Britain. And so it's showing you some history that you probably are not even aware of. I'm looking at that, and I'm saying, okay, they're substantiating that a lot of these things that they came over here, British Moors came over here, by the way. Well, they didn't come over here. The British Moors sent modern Europeans over here to establish businesses, and it says that right in the Treaty of Peace and Friendship. They came over here to establish businesses so that they can generate commerce revenue for the British Crown. They're still doing the same plan that they implemented back in the 1500s. They still got it going on today. People, there was many companies were established. Many companies, look around you, many companies were established, but not all of the companies joined the union. Today, the companies that did not join the union are referred to as cities, counties, towns, township, boroughs. Those are companies. They were established they were set up by modern Europeans under the authority of the British Moors. All right? So the companies that did not join the union are like outlaws. They function outside of the law, so to speak. But who is the one that's supposed to be enforcing the law? Who's supposed to enforce the law? The people. But all of the people on this Moroccan American soil is at the mercy of employees, corporations. This is exactly what the Constitution was written to protect people from.
From being molested. The prophet said it. The prophet said, enforce the Constitution so that you are not molested by other citizens. And he's talking about these corporations. That's why he said that. And that's exactly what's happening. Go ahead.
Exactly. And then you get this, and now if you lack information and you lack the truth about nationality, all right, the nationality, I'm going to say this again. Please, everybody, listen. Your nationality is in your blood. It is not outside of your body. You ain't got to chase it down the street. You ain't got to go to the federal building and ask them for it. It's in your blood. It's in your blood. You don't have to ask a foreign immigrant for it. It's in your blood. I call them foreign immigrants because that's what they are. Even their daddy, the Vatican, came over here and told all the Aboriginal indigenous people, you need not be afraid of the immigrants.
Yes, that was last year. That was last year at the fall equinox about this time. Came on the Congress floor, or was it 2 years ago? Came on the Congress floor and said that. Said it, labored to say it in the best English he could to make sure that it wasn't interpreted wrong or whatever. And he came right on the floor and said that, and yet people still talking about. Look, he running around with a family, with a Moor family crest, and he talk about what is this they say? He owns the United States. Hey, whatever. That's a corporation. Ain't got nothing to do with you, right?
Yeah,
so,
that was another quote that he had in here. I skipped over it because he said so many things, and I went through line by line and typed out everything he said and analyzed it, and I went and I found substantial documentation to rebut it. Because your nationality is not based on any corporate activity. And the other thing that I want to say, and I'm going to yield the floor, I promise. The last thing I want to say, or one of the few last things I'm going to say, is your nationality. They talk about naturalization. And then you got people running around here talking about, I want to nationalize. I want to nationalize. Stop saying that, because you're confused. And you're confusing other people. The prophet never said, if you don't do anything, nationalize. If you don't do anything, declare your nationality. Because the prophet was brilliant. Brilliant. There's a whole wealth of information in that word declare. You know what he's saying? He said, look, Lord, before you do anything else, you better be clear about your lineal descent bloodline. You heard me?
Oh, my God. Hey, that's beautiful. I know. I was here before.
No, it's mad crazy you said that, because I was thinking, I'm like, what's up with the brother Amazite Bay? I've been thinking that the past couple of weeks.
You heard me?
So I was definitely thinking about the bro.
Oh, my God. Hey, listen, I'm going to yield the floor. I just wanted to say this, and Annie, be ready to hit that button, okay, when I'm done. I just got to say this. Look, all of this that we're stating are facts, all right? And what I don't get is, RV Bay is a publication company, right? Moore's publication company, by the way. And they want to throw us under the bus, attach us to being stuff that we're not and stuff like that. You know, and I'm like, if he or anyone wanted to lead people down a path, right, then go ahead and lead them down the path. Why you got to throw us under the bus while you're doing it? But I know why. Hit the button again.
RV Bay is probably RV Bay Publications is probably the biggest Moorish website on the face of the earth right now.
All right, so that must be why. And guess what? Everybody listen, that ain't none of us. We don't even know this person that said that. We just found that on a thing. But anyway, a soundbite. Okay, I'm here, the Lord. Thank you. Oh, Annie, thank you so much for your analysis, sister. You know, nobody can do it like you did, for sure. And Cujo, I know he's on there and he's going to have a comment too. Thank you for what you did. And I know Miz is on. You know, there's a lot of people that are on, but what we found out is that this guy put this crap up, and then if you go to make a comment, and I guess, Miz, you and Cujo can comment on that, a comment that is not slandering him, but in corrections, he will block your statement. Ain't that something? So you know that he's trying to slander. There's no question that he's trying to slander RV Bay Publication, and I guess a few others. But I you know, it is what it is. Islam, I yield.
Islam.
What's an industrial? Hey, Coach O, what's an industrial? Wait, we want you to also tell us what is that again? The industrial something 501c for MSCFA. Like, what the heck is that? We know who are industrious.
I know that outsiders have a hard time grasping what Noble Drew Ali brought.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're looking at the dirty Moors as the representatives of what Moor science is.
Right.
So when he's talking about MSTA, 501c3 or whatever like that, he's not wrong. Like there is that element out there, right? But the idea of tying it all together is where they go wrong.
Mhm. I can see that.
Because there were specific things that Noble Drew Ali said to specify that there's a difference in Moors. There's faithful ones. So then there's also the opposite of that.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? There's active Moors, and then there's the opposite of that. He might not have talked of them, but if he spoke about one, there had to be an opposite. Because again, we're dealing with gibberish.
That's a new word, yeah, gibberish.
So since we're dealing with gibberish, then law applies. But they're going to make statements that we don't have a law, or we don't have a law, or something relative to Moors not having law or something like that. But if I self-law and master, then universal is the law. I mean, and Noble Drew Ali is a universal prophet, so why wouldn't everything he say not be law?
Exactly.
But again, it's this thing with outsiders thinking they know. That's why if you want to know about Moors, you ask a Moor, and then we were more specific in saying, forget asking a Moor, find an active Moor.
Mm-hmm.
Don't just think turbans and feathers mean, they're in favor of Moors, and then people who are unconscious of birthright don't see turbans and feathers doing BS and apply that to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So for outsiders, the inside information with regard to what Moorish Science Temple is in an article called Moorish Leaders' Historical Message to America from 1928. Right? So whatever people are saying now that is outside of what I read, know that somebody put that there, but it wasn't Noble Drew Ali.
That's right.
Because he was specific in how he relayed the message to anybody that was listening about what it is and how it became what it's known as today.
Mm-hmm.
We organized as the Moorish Temple of Science in the year 1925. We were legally incorporated as a civic organization under the laws of the state of Illinois, November 29, 1926. The name Moorish Temple of Science changed to Moorish Science Temple of America, May 1928, in accordance with the legal requirements of the Secretary of the State of Illinois. The object of our organization is to help in the great program of uplifting fallen humanity and teach those things necessary to make our members better citizens. A national organization with a Rotarian complexion as it relates to branch temples became obvious with the increasing number of inquiries from men and women in different sections of the country concerning the purpose of the organization. There are branch temples in 15 different states at this time. Since the work of the Moorish Science Temple of America was largely religious, the organization has been legally changed to a religious corporation, and an affidavit to this effect has been properly filed in the Cook County Recorder's Office in Illinois. Now, everybody's mind is going to go to what they see today when, you know, they say religious organization, religious corporation, whatever. This guy go with the papers, go inside of a building, and then file the paper with the guy at the desk, and then he's going to go in the back and he's going to stamp something and then bring it back, and then now you're going to say, yes, I am whatever now. Organization, we're going to help, whatever, call ourselves whatever it is, right? What the outsiders don't have is the 101 questionnaire, which on the back of it outlines this affidavit, right? Change the organization to a religious corporation. And then that affidavit was done through Heard's Revised Statute, which is basically giving some people the authority to come together and, you know, create an affidavit, file it themselves, not them going to register something for somebody to say, well, you got permission, them going themselves and file it. And then once they file it, then now it is what they say that it is, which was making it a religious corporation. Because, again, the national organization with the Rotarian complexion as it relates to branch temples became obvious with the increasing number of inquiries. The increasing number of inquiries were Negro, black, colored people who were religious. You didn't do that for Moors. You didn't make Moor Science Temple a religious corporation for Moors.
That's right. That was the arm for that reason. And the Moor's Holy Temple was still operating at the same time. Go ahead.
And then you had that for Moors, because that was the civic, which once you get to that level, you graduate from Moor Science Temple to Moorish Holy Temple of Science.
Hello.
Because your mind state would change. You can't be a novice. You can't be an adept, but Moorish Science Temple.
Right.
Sort of like that. If you're an adept, you're Moorish Science Temple, you're Moorish Holy Temple of Science, you're Moorish Divine National Movement, you're Asiatic States, you're Grand Body, you're all the stuff. If you're a novice, you're just Moorish Science Temple, and that's it, and that's all, and you don't know anything else, and that's all you know. And that guy's the Grand Chief, that guy's the Secretary, that guy's the whatever, and then that's it. And there's nothing else. And then those people, that's what they push. Moorish Science Temple only. Moorish Science Temple. 50 years been going on, and all they keep pushing is Moorish Science Temple. But there was something called Moorish Holy Temple of Science. How come they're not repping that? Because they're not adept. They're novices. So all they know is that one element. And again, which comes back to the thing of who's feeding Dane Calloway, R.V. Bay to go after. Because there's many Moors out there that should have been mentioned in his little whatever. If you're going at Moors, if you're going at this idea of package selling and whatever, there's mad Moors out there who should have been on it too. So he got fed RV Bay publications, right? He got fed particular aspects to present. Like, for example, Moorish Leaders Historical Message. They're going to take excerpts out of that, but they're not going to take excerpt out of the 101 that has the affidavit. And it gives you the reference point of Heard's Revised Statute to let you know that this has nothing to do with IRS or nothing like that. Heard's Revised Statute has nothing to do with IRS and all that. And going to them to get some type of tax exempt because they're a religious corporation. That's not what Heard's Revised Statute is about. But that's what was used. But that's only on the inside. Outsiders don't know that because outsiders don't know about 101 questionnaire. Much less to know that quote-unquote affidavit on the back of the 101 questionnaire is a real affidavit that was filed by Moors on the public record, which lets you know that they recognize Moors, or they wouldn't let them file that affidavit. Lets them know that everything that they were doing was right and exact, or they wouldn't have let them file that affidavit, that you could still go today, 2007, and go see the stuff. It's still there. But they don't recognize the Moors, and we can't do anything as Moors and all that. So it goes back to that thing from earlier. Again, excellent rebuttal, you know, and trust that there's probably one or two more that's going to back that one up, because as we say, you know, all active Moors see from a different perspective. And once active Moors put it all together, there's nothing that these clowns are going to put out that's going to get through. Nothing's going to seep through the strainer. Thick porridge. Nothing is seeping through.
Thanks a lot, Cujo. By the way, the half of that rebuttal has not been told. If I told you everything, you go back to sleep.
I'm glad I was up for that one.
It's nationality time. Yeah, brother, man, what's up?
Yeah,
it's definitely nationality time. Now, y'all know me. And, yeah, I do, you know, we got the main disputes 29. And I haven't pressed the, well, excuse me, I did press the lens. But I had to press the lens for this one. I'm going in on my video. I wanted to finish, but, you know, we had to start class. I was trying to keep it short, but I ended up going in on these dudes. You know what I'm saying? And I'm telling it all, man. I mean, as far as, I can't say I'm telling it all, but just, you know, what people need to know about these different aspects of these yellow journalists. But first off, let me say, or ask y'all, no, Cujo, you mentioned this. It's a specific donut. It's called Danish. Is it called Danish jelly roll or something like that? Something, right? What's it called? Y'all know what I'm talking about. Y'all know. Danish roll, right?
Yeah,
something like that. Some type of roll. It actually looks kind of like a turban, kind of. Yeah,
I want to talk to the Pillsbury Doughboy. You know what I'm saying? Got to talk to him, poke him a little bit, because I'm gonna be honest, man. I'm gonna be honest. I recall when we came back from so-called Virginia. You know what I mean? And because you keep this in mind, like, nothing just happens to happen overnight. Thoughts build up and then they manifest, right? So the Pillsbury Doughboy or the Danish jelly roll, he's been clocking us for a minute. It's evident by the been studying the website and all of that. Okay, facts. Now, I never heard of him speaking contrary to us, to RV Bay Publications. His research is flawed as he tried to make a comparison with RV Bay Publications to the MST of A Incorporated. His research is very flawed. Nonetheless, though, I noticed something because I was doing a specific project, and I was telling y'all about it back in July. And I kept, doing some extra extensive research to make sure that, you know what I'm saying, I had different angles covered. And just so happened, Pillsbury Doughboy Danish Jelly Roll put out a video on some of the things I was talking about. And I'm like, man, I know these ninjas ain't really just happen to want to do this. They had to be clocking. But I was like, okay, all is well. I feel this because, you know what I'm saying, it's just something that needs to be talked about. But nonetheless, since July 24th, he did a documentary. I knew then, I'm like, oh, son is clocking our style. You know what I'm saying? Son is clocking our style because I knew that, everybody's not going to be inspired to just try to get up and do this research. So the Danish Jelly Roll tried to go out there and go to a specific place, which his shit was whack. I'm just speculating before I get to a couple of facts, right? But the fact is his shit was whack compared to what I was telling y'all about, a place we went relative to the Hansel Gretel story, the Great Famine, and he didn't speak on these things directly. That's how I know he didn't do thorough research. You know what I'm saying? But nonetheless, I was like, oh, shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Son is biting. But I wasn't upset. So for this to come out from the same Pillsbury Doughboy, I was like, damn, okay, it's real. He's been clocking us. I'm pretty sure he probably listening to this right now. You know what I'm saying? And it's probably not his first time, but nonetheless, I knew something was up when I saw that whack-ass project go up. I'm like, oh, nah, he ain't go in. He ain't really go in. But not like I am anyway. You know what I'm saying? Not like we did anyway. But nonetheless, I'm like, damn, that's crazy because I never heard nobody really go in on this. What, salute, anyway. But nonetheless, I'm like, okay, so you try to make a connection to RV Bay Publications and be careful about, obtaining a travel card and, these people will be placing you more into negativity like my ninja, like Pillsbury. Danish Roll, like, yo, I've seen in real life, you know what I'm saying, people who had, because the Europeans' violations are not just limited to whether you got a free national identification card or not. You know what I'm saying? It's not. I've known people who've had everything Negroids think they want to see, you know what I'm saying, and still get violated. And I won't mention no names, but shout out to our sister. I know she's listening. I won't mention your appellation. But there's a sister who had everything they wanted. You know what I'm saying? Driver's license, registration, all of that came from her. There's certain people that I know, they went to so-called quote-unquote court and got stripped of their quote-unquote state identification cards, driver's license, etc. So they can't even prove that they're the nom de guerre if they wanted to. But I noticed one thing about when people try to diss RV Bay Publications is because in certain aspects they secretly want to be, in the so-called position that they perceive, RV Bay Publications as doing. So Cujo pointed it out with his video about, you know what I'm saying, this dude being named Dane Calloway, but he's selling status correction packages. And I'm like, my ninja, you got your lesson straight from Moors. Like, we know you know that, and you're not going to fade us. Know that. You know what I'm saying? Definitely not going to fade us. But the fact that, you're trying to do the same relative thing, right, that Moors have been doing. And Cujo pointed it out that, he's doing it with a nom de guerre. last name is Calloway, Dane Calloway. Dane Calloway. And we've seen the reoccurring theme of our great ancestors who was, quote-unquote, correcting their status, go into free national appellations opposed to keeping the slave brands or the foreign brands. Because, you know, to say that you're the Aborigines of America, but you're bearing, I mean, and you could just Google this. Just Google the origin of the last name Calloway. And the first thing that'll pop up is the interesting surname is of Norman French location origin from the place called Calumet, Orgyville, in the province of Uri, which is recorded in 1157 as Callo-El, emphasized that the last letters are E-L. This Negroid did not change his appellation or correct his status, again, his free national appellation, because I know that if, you know, I had an appellation like Calloway, I would just do the research, and when I came across Callo-El, knowing about Moors, me personally, that would have been my appellation correction, from Calloway to Callio-El, E-L at the end, because you got name correction, you know what I'm saying, or a status correction. All of this is knowledge that Moors always possess. We would go to Muhammad Ali, even to Sojourner Truth. You know, this is a specific pattern that you see free Moors doing. You know what I'm saying? He didn't do that. He still got the modernized European French, Norman French origin on his name. You know what I'm saying? And it tells you that anciently it's Callo-El, which if you know about Moors, E-L, why, ask him why he didn't correct his status to that. And don't give me no Negroid excuse like, oh, we don't got nothing to hide, because you're not even using your free national appellation, let alone talking about you got status correction packages for 40 notes. Look, you know what I'm saying? Like, we Moors, we never charge nobody nothing over double digits, and not even near 100 notes. You know what I'm saying? For anything like that. Nationality cards, that's one thing, but nobody's scraping anybody. We have the right as a nation to provide that, you know, and we're not a 501c3. If we was, we wouldn't have that available, because there's people who need that. Necessity overrides law. Necessity overrides law. That's an international law maxim. And, you know what I'm saying? That's no discredit to the law, but as a lawful, let's say you're a lawful abiding being, you're not out trying to kill everybody every day. But if somebody is coming at you, you know what I'm saying, trying to poke or pierce your flesh with a knife or something like that, there's a certain necessity to preserve yourself. So if you have to kill that being, you know what I'm saying, in that real life physical example or situation, the necessity for you to live overrides the law of murder in that particular aspect. You know what I'm saying? And it applies in many different other ways, whether it be you traveling to, you know, accumulate the different necessities you need to survive. You know what I'm saying? All of that overrides anything contrary to necessity. The service that's been provided, the information that has been provided via RV Bay Publications was very necessary. I've seen Moors, whether they know they were Moors or not, get stripped of the so-called driver's license, like not just the magistrate saying, oh, well, your license is suspended, it's invalid. You know what I'm saying? Like, literally give it to me so that the de facto courts can take possession of that particular instrument. Not just it's suspended and, you know what I'm saying, when the suspension is up, to be accurate again, like literally taking it from people in de facto courtrooms and leaving them without anything to prove their identity. You understand what I'm saying to you? So there's many reasons why the nationality card, the travel card, is a necessity. You know what I mean? It's very necessary because that's happening to people, and at the same time, it's forcing people to get in their own proper person, it by default. So, you know what I'm saying? With them trying to say, oh, well, we don't know law, and we'll, you know, they'll say anything type of thing. Like, that was a cheap shot to try to discredit, you know what I mean, the law that we know. Because out of everything he tried to excerpt from R.V. Bay, it was that, to associate us with the Moor Science Temple of America, which is why I think it's an op or a jealousy thing. Because, my ninja, I know you've been listening to us. I know. We're not just talking heads. Like, I can dissect your whole energy. So,
but you know what? I think. Now, I'm not trying to cut you because it really ain't really about him per se. I think it's just like what Cujo said that, and you said, that's really kind of what it is. Like there's something else backing the intent and drive that this person has latched on to. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what I think. Yes.
Yeah, but he's talking about correcting status and being an Aborigine of America, and his last name goes back to Norman French people. Mm-hmm. Don't talk to us about salute to all the Aborigines and stuff like that. We ain't trying to hear that. And we know that, Moors was all over the planet. But if you're about correcting status and all of that,
you gotta correct your own.
Correct your own first. Get your shit in order, because the last name Calloway comes from Hello L, like E-L is at the end, and we know that the 5 titles of Moors are El, Bey, Day, Al, and Ali, and E-L at the end, just like the origin of Calloway. So Dane Calloway didn't even correct his status. You know what I'm saying? But the Pillsbury Doughboy.
That's what I want to add. The people who are following him, people who are following him, going, yeah, man, this sounds good. How do I get my nationality? And they don't even realize that he doesn't even have his own. He doesn't even have a nationality. He's not even an LMA. So how can he give you that? His intent is to make you show allegiance to a state with all the convolution that and he just spelled out. So forgetting about him for a second, because there's probably going to be a whole lot of him, and probably is a whole lot of him. The fact that the people need to wake up and realize how silly they sound, saying such a thing without even thinking. You know, like the prophet said, if I could get you to thinking, you would for yourself. That's the travesty. And so therefore, taking advantage of those that are coming in, quote unquote, new, if you will, or green, if you will, because the call of the day is in fact nationality. And if I may, and I don't mean to cut you, but if I may, to just make a short mention of it before we go into any questions that you briefed today about the, if you would, about the what is it, BIE, Black Identity Extremists, and that is just more proof that, hey, you better declare your nationality and make sure you're not confused with being black, Negro, colored, or any of that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, that too. There's a lot of people who are talking about that as well. You know, the FBI just came out with a memo talking about the Black Identity Extremists. You know what I'm saying? And I'm looking at this, like, I haven't found a clearly defined definition of it, but I'm like, this is what Noble Drew Ali was talking about, not the sellouts, not the, post-Noble Drew Ali Moors who've been suppressing the movement like that, the divine and national aspects of it. Because you got to remember, Noble Drew Ali was talking about declare your free national name and religion. because he was talking Constitution. So don't let anybody ever tell you that religion is not important. But knowing what religion is more important than the debate of whether religion is important or not, if you get my drift. Because a lot of people take dogma as religion, and that's not true religion. So when Noble Ali, in the same sentence as he was emphasizing that it's imperative for you to declare your free national name, he also was saying that, you know, it's imperative to declare your religion as well. So under those laws, you know what I'm saying, like the First Amendment, now you're talking about so many laws that's not even written in the Constitution, right, which is the supreme law of the land, but it's like a blanket for so many other laws, like for you to, you know what I mean, open up so many different pathways, because the First Amendment in conjunction with the Ninth Amendment, talking about those rights enumerated, you know what I mean, and it should not be construed to deny or disparage those retained by the people, etc. You know what I mean? That when you start dealing with religious philosophies, not religious dogma, now you open up a whole nother lane, because it's like, you know, the John Bouvier's Institutes of American Law, going back to, you know, de jure law, because, you know, don't front. Yeah, there's some books that come from the early 1900s, and that's what's really good, because the lessons Noble Drew Ali laid out was, you know, in the time period during the early 1900s, you know. But in correlation with that, the Constitution was manifested in the 1700s Gregorian calendar, and it is still valid today. Now, there's specific attacks on the law of the land coming from the Trump administration, etc., but none of that voids out the Constitution. And again, they just struck the travel ban down again. Like, this is on my news feed right now. Like, Supreme Court throws out travel ban ruling. Oprah just went to bank for first time in 29 years. I don't know if that's a Mentis Views 29 correlation, but nonetheless, 29 years, and the Supreme Court throws out, you know, the travel ban. I'm just saying that because that's what's on my top news feed. But nonetheless, you know, the right of the people to travel is an international issue that expands. Yeah, it expands more than just, you know, you traveling on the land by mode of conveyance. It's about the freedom of movement. We talked about this, and even when we went to the museum, we were seeing how they was talking about the freedom of movement. It's always been a fight of those who were trying or who were being enslaved. Like, one of the main things they were against was anybody trying to restrict their freedom of movement. And as a nation of people, we have the right to communion and speech. Again, go back to the John Bouvier's Concise Encyclopedia of Law. And under the definition of rights, it talks about that the people have the right in communion of speech, print, and many other things. You know what I'm saying? So these are ancient rights. Even when you see Moors in unison manifesting their judicial proclamations, etc., you know, these are rights of the people that have always been. You know what I mean? They have the right to say the same exact thing in any mode of communication. So, you know, I just feel like with Dane Calloway trying to slander or smear more specifically RV Bay Publications, you know, it goes back to show the hypocrisy. He's telling people to be careful because, you know, this might place you in negativity. Like I said, I know a sister right now who had everything corporate, you know what I mean? Driver's license, registration, you know, insurance, all of that was, you know, going on. But nonetheless, they still, you know, violated and took her stuff with all the stuff that they wanted to see. So it's not because of the travel card. It's because these people are criminals no matter what you got. Specifically, if you got the driver's license, they're going to try to really go in on you and put you up in the jurisdiction. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, you know, at the beginning and the end of the day, the Aboriginal people of America being Moors, shout out to Hakeem Bey and ancient and modern Britons, which was speaking on, you know, the Moors being Aboriginal to North America, right? I would suggest as well, that's another book that should be read, you know what I mean, on the MHHS blog talk, for real, because Ancient and Modern Britons goes all the way in. For those who haven't read it, please do. You know what I mean? Make sure that you put that library.
We might need some additional readers for that 2-volume book.
It is a 2-volume book. That's facts. That's facts. Indeed. I caught that alley-oop right there. I just caught that alley-oop right there.
Yeah, you might have to be a participant on that reading. Might even have to Cujo do some reading. But we got, look, at Sim and Bakari, I'm sure they wouldn't mind. Now, look, we put them up to something, right?
Well,
yeah.
But
Anyway.
I don't want to interrupt you, but we got 11 minutes left to the live feed, and I just want to let everyone know we got a somewhat full week. We don't have Sons of Allah this Thursday. We have Sons of Allah next Thursday. But we will be at the National Theater in the Flash tomorrow. Doors open at 6:30. Class begins at 7:30. And we have Sisters Standing on Law this Sunday at 1 p.m. So we have a somewhat full week. So make sure and check out those 2 broadcasts. Back to you, man.
Indeed. So we will be going in even more, you know. But again, you know, a lot of people, because you know, one thing I salute is taking the time to get into your proper person. You know, like really studying, like what appellation do you have? What does that mean? All of that. But you know, for this dude to be talking about correcting status, you can look at our greats. You can look at our greats, and even Malcolm X when he was talking about don't tell me nothing about nothing else. Like, what was your name? You know what I'm saying? Calloway. What was your name? That goes back to L-E-L. Google that. That shit is right on the surface. So we don't believe you ninjas. Like, we just don't. You know, and your information is misrepresented. And you try to put, you know, names out there, nom de guerres. We not like you niggas. You feel me? I'm sorry for saying it like that, but we just not. And I also want to say, you know, all of these Negroids, and I'm calling them that because they won't fess up to their nationality, free national name, and they know better, because you can't go on RV Bay and tell me you don't know better. You know what I'm saying? So intentionally, you a Negroid. Like, you know what I'm saying? You can't talk about nationality, birthright, and being Aboriginals of America, you know what I'm saying, and try to say, oh, this is Turtle Island. Like, Turtle Island is a myth. Feel me? Like, real shit. Turtle Island is a mythological story of Aboriginals. It's not actual fact. So, you know, don't try to play the word America and say this is not America, this is Turtle Island. No, Turtle Island is a story that was established by Aboriginal Americans, Al-Moroccans, Moors, in other words. And yes, we are a nation. Facts. You know what I'm saying? We are the Aboriginal people of this land. You know that. But don't be bearing European French names talking about salute to all the Aborigines of America, my nigga. Like, why you still got a French name? You know what I'm saying? Like, what's good with you? How are you qualified to even talk about status correction and claiming to be Aborigine of America and putting in no public work to rebut the foreign French name you're bearing? And if you saying that it's yours because all names are Moors, like some Moors like to claim, like this shit don't reflect European conqueror activity, then if the Callaway is your name, right, and it belongs to Moors, why you didn't do the research and go back, you know what I'm saying, before Columbus even came here? And it's telling you in 1157, Callaway again was recorded as Callow-L, E-L at the end. There was no way at the end. It was E-L. So niggas need to get in their proper person, which is Moors, and you see Moors always claiming their El, Bay, Day, Al, and Ali. You know what I mean? Niggas don't do that. You feel me? And Islam, and I mean that in the most historical, contextual way that you can speak of, because niggas don't have nationality. Niggas won't stand on their free national appellation. You know what I'm saying? They'll justify the modern bastardization of Moorish appellations. So, I mean that in every sense of the word. You know what I'm saying? Because, again, the definition of niggerly is someone who scrapes up money by little and little. He's trying to sell status correction packages and all of that. But this RV Bay Publications, but nonetheless, at the same time, you know what I'm saying? He's bearing a bastardized Moorish appellation that's French in origin. So don't salute Aborigines, because we Moors are the Aboriginals of America. So show some respect, my guys. You know what I'm saying? Show some respect, not just to us, but to yourself, because we seeing straight through your whole shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like all of that. You know what I mean? Don't try to convince our people about what their proper person is, and you know what I'm saying, the United States, this, that, and the third, and you're bearing a foreign appellation. Grace proudly. And Ninjas is in the comments like, oh, that's because he don't have nothing to hide. Like, my G, like, that's not nothing to be proud of. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not. Salute to all of our ancestors who came before. Muhammad Ali, Sojourner Truth, like I said, and many others. I won't even go down the list. Do your research. You know what I'm saying? Who they call King Philip, who was Metacomet or Pometicom. You know what I'm saying? Like, Europeans hit him with an appellation of King Philip when that wasn't his aboriginal appellation. So I don't believe you niggas until you get in your proper person. And with that, I just yield the floor, and I mean that. Facts.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Well, fantastic, as usual. The sad thing about this, brother, you know, I would encourage everyone to read the prophecies and the statements, because misleading large groups of people is prophesied in Takanova Drawley prophecies and statements. This has already been prophesied, you know. So we shouldn't be surprised when we see large numbers of people falling for this without any type of study or research. Now, I'm from my own study from back that I've always studied. When I found out about this Moorish information believe it or not, a lot of the things that I studied were the first thing that I studied and got a grip on was the Constitution. And I can tell you that, you know, I hear people say all the time, oh, you know, I always hear this study, but I don't know what I should begin studying. Let me tell you what you should begin studying, that American Constitution. You want to study that. It is the supreme law of the land. It says it right in the document. This is the supreme law of the land. Law, not statute, ordinance, or code. Law. The only law on this Moroccan-American soil. So when you get that down pat, you're good. I studied that for about 3 years before Roz talked me into doing a class. I think it was about 2 or 3 years. But the point I'm making is that's all I studied. And then in searching for, I mean, I was like hungry for case law and more information to explain this Constitution. And guess what? I ran into a lot of information by modern Europeans, very well done information. And the interesting thing is this Dane Calloway, when you go to his website, because he says, hey, you know, if you want to claim your nationality the right way, go to my website and here's a list of the documents and information that I have gone around the internet and found and gathered and put into a packet, and I'm going to sell it to you for $39.99. Some of the verbiage that he is using comes directly from a modern European. There's these 2 really good modern European websites, but I would suggest if your foundation in law is not strong, meaning your constitutional base is not there, don't mess with them because they're going to screw you up. You have to be able to discern what they are saying. And in your ability to discern and analyze and look up words and think, you're going to realize that these are the people that don't have a nationality. You do. You do. So all the convoluted back door around the corner, down the street processes that they're coming up with to claim some type of nationality so that they can be the Aboriginal indigenous people of this land without being the Aboriginal indigenous people of this land, so that they can hang on to the large tracts of land that they have unlawfully claimed. These processes are not for you because you have a nationality. Now, I'm not saying that these modern Europeans, look, you need to release your claim and we're going to kick you off the land. Because our ancestors said you can come here and live in peace. But there are a few greedy modern Europeans who just want to take everything and then charge people using the same processes from the 1500s to sell you the use of your lineal estate. That's what the whole mortgage is about. It don't matter if it's a mortgage, charter, patent, grant. It all means you only have the use. And you know, I'm going to get more into that at another time. But we're not saying, hey, I'm going to kick you off. We're just saying that everybody, including the modern Europeans, needs to claim your nationality. Because you're not American. American is not a nationality. So you need to claim your lineal descent bloodline, and it's not American.
That's right.
It's not white, and it's not U.S. citizen. So just like us Moors, you need to go find yourself too. Find your lineal descent bloodline and claim it. all right? And then make sure that everybody across the nation is enforcing the supreme law of the land, the Moroccan American Constitution of 1791, not ordinance, statutes, or code. So with that, I'm going to open up the phone line.
You know what? And before you do, real quick, you had said U.S.A. I just wanted to mention, too, that, and I think it was in his thing, about becoming a U.S.National. And so, you know, if someone says becoming U.S.National, that's bogus. But what you might want to do is go look up that. That's for tax purposes only for corporations called American Samoan and somewhere else, I think Philippines. It's right there. And it's nothing to do with you as a natural person. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Here's a clue. Here's a clue, people. No employee of any corporation can make a determination about your bloodline.
There you go.
About the blood. If you think that you can become, what did they call it? A United States national, not to be, not a United States citizen. They're both brands.
That's right. That's right.
And it's nothing. It requires you to know lineal descent bloodline of any sort. They're both brands. Saying you're a United States national as opposed to a United States citizen is like saying I'm American as opposed to, you know, an Indian. Neither one of them are a nationality.
Facts, I'm rocking with American all day. Facts, I'm rocking with American all day with that. Because that goes beyond the jurisdiction of the U.S. The U.S.A. is not the same thing. Can't put the word American in the same category as United States or United States of America because we got the facts and the proof. American as a noun refers to any one of the copper-colored Aboriginal peoples that was found on this land by the Europeans, which happens to be Moors. When you look at the word Moor, and you can go to your J.A. Rogers, Sex and Race Volume 1, 2, or 3. You can go to your Ancient and Modern Britons. You can go to your Unabridged Dictionaries, 1936 and back. It's going to tell you what the word American means. United States is a corporate. Even if American was a different jurisdiction, it's a different jurisdiction than United States. Believe that. It's a different jurisdiction than United States of America because it originally applied to Moors, who are the Aboriginal, because I remember being taught that it's about the last legal name that we fell in, and American is on the record as that. And American, Al-Moroccan, and Moor mean the same thing. And it's funny, our people got so far from their culture. I won't use no names, but I was at a party this weekend, and I had on a Moorish Fulani hat. You know what I'm saying? I had the strap, and I had it on my back. And I was saying I'd never been to Africa, and the Negropean tried to tell me that, you know what I'm saying? Well, we know you never been to Africa because you got on the Chinese hat. And I'm like, well, it's really not Chinese. It's West African. You know what I'm saying? Or Fulani. But then when you go to study and meanwhile, while I'm saying this Negropean got on an all-blue shirt with Italian written on it. I'm like, you niggas is rocking Italian shirts and ain't even Italian. What are you talking about? And we had a party. I had to say that. Like, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, yo, this is crazy. It just goes to show how far people came from knowing who they are and what applies to them and what doesn't. Because I guarantee you, with my last breath, that the word American or Al-Moroccan is not in no way, shape, or form equivalent to United States or United States of America. It's just not. It's facts. You know what I'm saying? And its original application is what stands today. But y'all so spooked up Y'all won't even step up to claim what's yours, while the European does claim it. European is proudly claiming to be American, and they're not, but we are. The facts, if it's not a nationality, it's still a word that applies to us, just like Cushites, Hamites, all of these other things. Go back and read Stanley Lane Pools when he tells you about the difference between the different words that's used when he's speaking about, you know what I'm saying, the words that are used to negative vibrations on Moors, you know, which was Negro and black, and then he goes in on the fact that Cushites, Hamites, and Moors was used to describe or to acknowledge the progressive members of the original family, Cushites, Hamites, and Moors. So we got many appellations, and believe me, United States of America is not one of them. Believe that. You know what I'm saying? That is very modern in it's cool. And we got the facts already on deck to back that up. So go back, look at the clip we put at the museum, the so-called African American Museum. You heard many different Moors acknowledge the fact that they was quote-unquote American. You know what I'm saying? James Baldwin was trying to tell you back then when film was still in black and white that he was an American, and he didn't mean that in the sense of, you know what I'm saying, who did he mention? Was it Hoover or something like that? And he was like, no, I don't mean it like that. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about something totally different. And the fact is that it applies to any of the aboriginals or copper complexion natives found on this continent. You know what I mean? The Americas by Europeans, and we will not ever forget that. And that's, I mean, I'm speaking for myself on that note, and I know other Moors know that that's facts. Go back and look at ancient and modern Britons when they tell you about the aboriginals of America and the whole first chapter where he's speaking about the copper complexion peoples. Go back and read Hakeem Bey's Journals of the Moorish Paradigms. He's making the connection. It's not something that we can dismiss. You know what I'm saying? But the Americans, Al-Moroccans, who allowed the Europeans to take their appellation while they claim to be Negroes, blacks, coloreds, Ethiopians, and all types of shit, you know what I'm saying, have now been stripped of their titles plural, because we champions. You know what I'm saying? And champions hold many different titles. They might have had the lightweight, the heavyweight, middleweight, all of that, but they still their titles. You know what I'm saying? As they ascend up from foundational levels to the highest level. So please, Islam, don't let nobody play you like, you know what I'm saying? America is a slight word, because people been playing that word out like, oh, America has did all this damage, and these people are not American. They're just not. Like, please don't fake that fact that the Europeans are not Al-Moroccan. They are not American. They've been stealing Moor's birthright and names and identities for so long. You know what I'm saying? But those unconscious Moors who've been in a state of negroids. Now, hold up. Before we open the lines, excuse me. Those negroids who've been in a state of not knowing their nationality, not knowing that they're Moors, thus making a connection to this land, always trying to go back to, you know, Kush and all of this, and not that that's wrong, but fact is that, yeah, we have many different appellations: Sumerians, Phoenicians, Americans, Moors, Moabites, Hamathites, Hittites, Canaanites, many different appellations for the same family, because, like I said, we all got cousins right now who got different last appellations. But nonetheless, because your cousin's appellation or name is different than what yours might be, you know that's still your family, because he or she was born from, you know, your mother's sister or your mother or whatever it is. So the name game, we need not get confused in, but we need to sincerely verify to its finding, because we know that we're Al-Moroccans and the Europeans are not. And that's no disrespect, but this is just the facts of history. Like, we can't lose this. We cannot lose that. We can't lose that, because everybody's claiming that they quote-unquote black and proud and black power when black has no power. It's civil litter mortus. You understand? Show me some. If I'd rather hear copper-colored power than black power. I just would. I really would. Talk to me about that. Let's talk about that. But look, with no disrespect and all due respect to the facts, yo, get your unabridged dictionary and look every word up. Even look up Moor. Even study the history on Moors. But I will also suggest study the history on the Fulani people, right? Because the Fulani people of West Africa, who are Moors, right? And not that they're not the Aboriginal people here, but they're still Moors, right? They say that, oh, well, the Fulanis, Fulani, came across from Arabia over through North Africa into West Africa, and that the quote-unquote Fulanis today, who are copper complexion like you and all of us on this line right now, you know what I'm saying, are considered white people. Like, you can literally Google Wikipedia this. Wikipedia, the Fulani people, and for those who know Moorish history, when you scroll down, like, and you see how they're talking about the Fulani people are classified as white, you'll understand more the definition of free white persons. You know what I'm saying? And that the fact that white is not based off of skin complexion. It is based off of a aboriginal noble status. It's a difference. So these Europeans been taking our titles for so many years and so many different words that they jack from us that the people are asleep, to the point that they think United States is a nationality, and it's not. United States is not a nation. That is a corporation. It is a corporation that at present day is bankrupt, and at present day is about suppressing your ass. You know what I'm saying? Because they want your estate. You know what I'm saying? They want the American estate. Believe that. They want the Al-Moroccan estate. Believe that. And they'll try to sell it or rent it to you if they can. And they don't have a claim to a natural, de jure claim to be American. They don't have that by birthright like we do. They don't have it. They don't. They just do not. We have that by birthright. We are true Americans, Al-Moroccans, or the original peoples to the land. You know what I'm saying? Please don't lose that, fam. Please do not lose that, because that's how they beating us in the head. That's how they telling people in the NFL, you better not take a knee and salute the Star-Spangled Banner. But who even helped them manifest that? Because you're talking about the war against the Union and the Confederacy, all right, which was involving Al-Moroccans, true Americans, labeled Negro, black, and color. It was only 20 of them that came on the ship from, quote-unquote, West Africa across the Great Atlantis. Only 20 made it, fam. You know what I'm saying? So we've been here, like, and we need to know that. None of these people got more right to claim to be American or one of the various copper-colored natives than we do. And
that's wow.
It's wow.
That's wow.
World is fine.
Islam. All right, well, let me get our first caller in, Bro Kari, whose phone seems to always hang up just as he's gonna talk. Islam, are you there? right, hold on a minute. Islam Bakari, are you there? Okay, well, I don't know what's happening. So I'm going to take our next caller. Well, this is caller 111-1111.
Yes, greetings, my family. How y'all doing? This is Balance Bay calling from Mexa, Al Moroccan. How y'all feel?
Fine.
Moor.
All right, y'all going in today. Y'all doing a check. Y'all checking them. I like it. Just had to send that out. And like you always said, you know, they've been stealing the birthright. That's what they've been doing. And these, you know, unconscious Moors better realize that's where it starts at, birthright, the bloodline. They're giving some good Jews up. Keep up the good work. I yield the floor.
Thank you.
Peace.
All right, peace.
And thank you.
All right. If you have a question, comment, or concern, press 1 on your telephone dial, and we will take your call. Okay, so we have caller 214565. You're live on the air.
Yes, fam. Can you hear me?
It's long. We can hear
Yes,
you.
this is Abdul Malik Sabir Shakur Bey. I'm calling from Northwest of Mexico, the Texas Republic territory. I'd like to give a shout out to my mother's fair, Anna L. Peace and love to Ms. I'll say Ms. But guess what? Ms. You know what I'm talking about. One be you if it wasn't for Mama. What's up, Rod Morale?
It's long.
It's I hear in the background, man. Everything that you all stated was on point and right for the time, because it's so much is going on. And the reason I got in more sounds, and if you got a problem with me, it's because of you all. Because I hand wrote. I ain't gonna, y'all done add some more stuff. I ain't wrote nothing in 2 years, but I read. And guess what? I got one eye. I've been having one eye over going on 40 years. If I can do it, what the saying say, if I can do it, you can do it too.
It's long.
It's up. Now, read back some you all studying and come together and putting up a format and putting it forth as a format for the people, because I know y'all love y'all people, because you want to earn Islam, common law, consists of those archaic principles, uses and rules of action applicable to government and security of persons, of property. I say because we are who we are. And nowadays, the trying to exclude, and if we know what we're talking about, then by their so-called law, they include our property. But which do not rest for underline if you got pen and paper, because you don't go into no classroom without under the age of understanding. But if you're over, you get a X in my book. That's which you do not rest for their Columbus Day. Oh, they still pressing that lie. And me and my wife were talking, and I brought in the Moor side. She done took over me, and guess what? I didn't come out of her real, and I ain't had in any mail that in front of the camera saying this and that. I say, you a liar, and which son or daughter? And I was wrong for that, because there would be no son without the daughter, because the daughter grows up to be a mother, and only the mother. And I see our mobiles daily walking around with the insertion only they have that can correspond the activities and the signs that Allah had not only when He revealed that knowledge to them that they would give birth, but He whispered into their spirit that they are the rulers of humanity to create the offspring. And this is my understanding through thought. One stood up and questioned and asked, what make you supremacy to have all knowledge and forecast and broadcast? For I am that I am, and all that you know
Islam.
that I am. So go forward.
Islam.
I'm still here. You hear me?
All right, Islam. Yeah, we got a bunch of other callers, and we're running out of time.
Okay, I'm going to say this here. To you and the air, Razmara, Mizram, and to Cujo. That's why I am in Moor Sound today. Abdul Malik Sabir Shakur Bey, for listening to you. I done brought Taj here, me and my wife. And we know, and you keep speaking, and the family keep speaking like back y'all speaking, because it's all about, as our illustrious prophet told us, uplift fallen humanity, Islam.
Islam. All right. Our next caller, Brother Bakari, are you there?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Speak up just a little.
All right. Greetings. Is this better?
Well, you sound
Get
like your volume is kind of low.
I'm on the mic. Hang on a sec.
Oh, all right.
Is this better?
Oh,
Yeah.
much better.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. Well, thank you so much, and I'm sorry about the technical difficulty. You know, I'm having issues with that stuff, but and I'll try to make it brief. First of all, I want to make a sort of a disclaimer. What I'm about to say, for the audience members that are listening, and for anyone else that's listening, the statement that I'm about to make, or the words that I'm about to state, it's not based on my emotions, and it's not based on my feelings, based on any sort of personal relationships or people that I have known in the Moorish Divine and National movement, but rather based on activities of late that have been taking place by individuals who have been putting out information, and from my estimation have been putting out a lot of truthful information, but then mixing it with lies. Something that we all know is sin, because its intent is, other than what is lawful and other than what is best for the masses as it pertains to nationality. Now, when I got into the Moorish, when I started reviewing information pertaining to nationality, bloodline, etc., I didn't get into it for some sort of business and personal gain. I didn't get into it so that I can obtain reparations. I didn't get into it just so that I can have a nice house and a piece of land and so on and so forth. Because if that is the case, if that is what you're doing this for, then the so-called president of the United States of America can offer you reparations, and you would throw away your ancestral pedigree so that you would have a home, a piece of land, and some fiat. And it seems to me, based on the activities of these individuals who are coming into the circles of Moors, whether it is virtually or whether it is in person, their activities are based on fiat and something other than what Moors are speaking about today, those good Moors. So what do I mean basically? When I look at some of these videos, such as this individual who is named Dane Calloway, it makes me wonder the mental capacity of these individuals who are viewing these videos. I haven't seen a flag representing his nation. What nation is he representing or presenting? What does he have an allegiance to? Okay? What I have seen is an emblem that is similar to the seal of the U.S.A. Now, what is his nationality? Has any of these viewers, and this man, this individual has thousands and thousands of views by people. But what is his allegiance? What paperwork has he filed for a nationality himself? Has anybody asked themselves that question? Mm-hmm. You see, I don't comprehend how people can be so caught up into the hoopla Is it because our children are sat in front of televisions from an early age? Is it because we are so caught up into the entertainment industry that we just get befuddled by media and nice words, nice suits, and associations and so forth? Is that what's going on here? Why aren't you asking yourselves questions? Who else, is there anybody in the audience that has watched this man's video? Have they gone to his website and looked at the disclaimer that he has written under useful information? Well, I'll read it to you. And it says, all information provided on this website for I am just here to make you think.com and throughout the contents of this package, as mentioned above, is strictly served for educational purposes only. Dane Calloway and I am just here to make you think has no affiliation with any of the content and links, templates, authors, publishers, nor sources of information provided throughout the content of this package. No liability assumed for use. The information you obtained in this package is not, nor is it intended to be legal advice. Parentheses, a full disclosure is also presented inside of the package. So, what is that telling you? If any of you out there can read, and I comprehend that by the mass numbers of individuals who are giving this guy thumbs up and all kinds of stupid, ignorant statements, can't read worth a damn. This man has not told you what his nationality is, what process he followed, who he got it from, how he did it, if in fact he did it. Furthermore, he hasn't told anyone, has he been in a court, a so-called court of law, fighting for his rights? But just because he's got some flashy media, some nice music, and a bunch of videos, many of which have some truthful information, but that's not all what this is about. And the most egregious aspect of this whole fiasco, in my opinion, is not the idiots that are so easily dominated by BS and bells and whistles, but the Moors. What processes Moors, these serious so-called Moors who have been in this movement for decades, what are you doing to ensure that people that come into your close proximity, people that are generating videos, people that may or may not be generating media in terms of books, pamphlets, etc., what processes do you follow to ensure that individuals are not agents or are not just working on the lower self? Noble Drew Ali died in this movement far too young because of the ego and because of agents. But what do you do? But what do Moors do? What is the elders of the so-called Moorish Science Temple of America doing? What is going on here? If individuals collectively were doing things and following certain procedures in writing and enforcing certain policies to test individuals to see if they are truly for the nation, because this is what this should be about. People should be ready to die for their bloodline. People should be ready to die for their flag. This is not about just getting out of a goddamn ticket. This is not just about beating a court case. This is about setting something up that is lawful, that is beneficial for for the generations and generations to come after us. That is why I take it upon myself when I meet somebody or somebody is referred to me. I'm not here for no goddamn packet. I am not here for no benefits. All right, I want to be associated with Moors who comprehend the bloodline aspect and the law, not just for Moors, but for all other nations. Every man should be able to live under the sun in a decent home with food, with decent food and the ability to educate his children properly and try to uplift himself mentally, physically, and ethereally to the best of his ability. This is not just something, this is not just a concept that is just here for Moors alone, but we need to comprehend bloodline and nationality. That's what this is about. That's part of what this is about. In closing, the most egregious part of this whole scenario, in my estimation, is what are these serious Moors doing? What are we doing, those Moors who have a platform, those Moors who have put out material? What do you do to ensure that individuals that are coming to your inner circles that you associated with or that you deal with, what are you doing to see if they are truly sincere? I know of, I'm not going to mention any names, but I know of several individuals who have the ability to, based on their platforms on YouTube and on Facebook, to upload some information from some of our most prestigious Moors today. But some of those individuals have done some of the most disgusting things to other Moors. Why in the hell is this still happening? This is the type of activity that really gets me pissed off. Aside from this individual, from this from this individual, Mr. Dane Calloway, who doesn't have a Moorish appellation. How in the hell, I just can't fathom what kind of mentality that is rampant with our people today. How are you going to watch some YouTube video, listen to somebody talk about nationality and birthright, and he hasn't demonstrated to you that he has a nationality? That he has an El, Bey, Day, Al, or Ali, specific to individuals of Moorish bloodline, not Europeans, not modern Europeans, not anybody else, but Moors. Those of us who descend from Canaanites, Moabites, etc. And I'm not hating on another nationality, but those titles are specific to Moors. Those are bloodline related. Those are national in nature, and they have a history, so that when you say Bokhari Baba Bey, you know that Bey carries a history behind what was done based on bloodline, based on nation. You know that relates to architecture, culture, mathematics, etc., etc.
Civilization
but now
principles.
You have exactly, and now you have this individual who has a YouTube video, and he's telling you he is not a nationalized Moor. If you are looking at it, it's right there in front of your face. He has his appellation on this so-called seal, which looks very similar to the U.S.A. seal that has his name in all capital letters. And it has these arrows, and it has stars and all of this nonsense, though they're not the same number in terms that are represented on the U.S.A. seal. But he's telling you, I'm not a Moor. I don't have allegiance to the Moorish nation. Look on his website. There's nothing on his website that says, I am a Moor and I have proclaimed and declared my nationality. And if there is, someone correct me. This is absurd. This is absolutely absurd. And in closing, so what I would strongly suggest, given this wonderful platform, and I hope that people are listening, is that Moors who have some dignity, who have a comprehension of what bloodline and birthrights really means, is that you take it upon yourself to listen to people like me who mention these things. You need to comprehend that you need to take into account what has already befallen us in terms of these individuals who are out either for ego or COINTELPRO operations. And if you are not investigating things to mitigate that process, you're not serious about this movement. Because in my short time in being involved in researching and communicating with other Moors, I've had to deal with knuckleheads that are just caught up in the ego. And the last thing that I would like to say, as I yield the floor, is that there used to be a time in my short time on this planet, in my early years, from 10 years to 19 years of age, before I entered the military, the U.S. military, where men and women in the so-called black community, that's what I was referring myself back then, is that we prided ourselves on being original. We prided ourselves, many of us, not all of us, but many of us prided ourselves in the way that we conducted ourselves on a daily basis. Some of us still had some sort of learning. Some of us still had some sort of etiquette, honor, character in which we carried ourselves. There's a term called biting, and that was something that was hated. That was a disgusting thing because you're not being original. You're not creating yourself. And now today we have individuals in the so-called black community are quick to tell you how the so-called modern European throughout history has been stealing inventions and all of these sorts of things and music from the music industry, and all these so-called artists and whatnot are going in the music industry and yada, yada, yada. But what are you doing today? Look, just look around in the Moorish movement. Go to YouTube, go to Facebook, and that's all you see today. It's a bunch of so-called individuals who are calling themselves Moors, who are biting off of other individuals because they're too damn lazy and they're too damn, or whatever it is, to create their own material, to take time to study and investigate things for themselves. And then they go around and slander individuals. So to protect yourself from this type of activity, I'm not saying it's going to stop it totally. But if you're not investigating those types of things, you are not serious. Because these individuals, as Anna Eve mentioned and Rod mentioned, they have a huge audience. It has already been written. And so I hope that someone out there in this audience, primarily elders, primarily Moors, who call themselves Moors, who have a nationality card, who have been into the so-called courthouses and defended themselves with dignity and honor. I hope that you're listening to the words that I'm talking about today. We need to take better care of who you decide to associate with. Islam, and I respectfully yield the floor.
All right, Islam.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and let's see. We have caller 320-309. You are live on the air. Please state your appellation at Northwest Maxim.
Islam, peace and love to the family. My appellation, Inyan Igmu Tahanka Bay, from the Minnesota Territory, northwest of Mexico. I would just like to briefly touch on a serious accusation about the whole 503C, this false assertion that they've made. Now, all I'm asking, research for yourself qualified information that's being presented. And if you're earnestly looking for information, with an earnest mind, with an earnest heart, you can clearly see for yourself what is what and what is not. If you study what a 501c3 is, you would understand that that is a pledge
of the priesthood of a lesser light, to keep the masses obedient to the princes of the popes of Rome. Now, I say that because when you study on R.V. Bay publication, you are given so much information that is in direct contravention to that effort.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If they're a 501c3, why would they explain to you the power of an allodial trust to protect you from conversion of the Inquisition Revenue Services? If they were 501c3, why would they go out of their way to explain to you the power of writs and affidavits as opposed to motions and briefs that are instruments of a colorable human trafficking tribunal that may or may not be heard at their discretion? If they were 501c3, would they tell you how to assert your nationality and stand on your square as opposed to surrendering your jurisdiction to a lawyer who is an officer of the court who is in cahoots with the human trafficking tribunal? Would they tell you the pitfalls of hiring an attorney so he can take a turn standing in your place pretending to be you? Would they tell you that if they were 501c3? Before you take it and run with these false assertions, you need to study, understand just what is being asserted, make up your own mind, qualify everything that is being said to you. Don't just be a satan, somebody who's just opposing for the sake of opposing. I say left, you say right. I say wrong, you say right, left. Don't just oppose just for the sake of opposing. Come into this information, if you're truly seeking information, with a sincere heart, with a sincere mind, study and qualify and think it through. If that is what your quest is. But understand the ramifications of making slanderous assertions like this. There are repercussions to making these false assertions. Think it through. Think it through. Not put yourself in a position to be the target of karmic debt because you have slandered and tried to injure earnest, sincere Moors who are trying to help the masses. Be careful. Be careful. I'll yield the floor. Islam.
Islam. That was excellent advice right there. That was excellent advice.
All right, we have one last caller. Caller 813-503. 813-503. Uh-oh. Oh, wait. All right. Here we go. 813-503. You are live on the air.
Greetings. I just had a quick question, but I also want to acknowledge those that went before me, and thanks for their sharing. My question is, what can one do to get information concerning the declarations? And, of course, with respect to the time remaining, is there information that can be passed on off the air?
What declaration? You mean the proclamation?
Right, the concerning the declaration.
And he tell them, go to our site on the National Identification and Card and Proclamation page, and he's going to tell them Section 13 specifically gives you the information you need for the proclamation. And
just to make that didn't.
What'd you say?
You said go to your website and what else?
Well, okay. Are you asking specifically
Wait
about those
are you
proclamations?
asking for the name correction and proclamation?
The question specifically was concerning declarations, but I'm not sure if I messed up on the language. If is declarations and proclamations the same thing, or I thought it was different.
You're talking about the name.
So
correction
my question
and
would be
additional.
pertaining to declarations.
We use the word proclamation, but
are you talking about proclaiming your nationality, or are you talking about the Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People?
Proclaiming nationality.
Okay.
All right. I just wanted to be clear. Yeah, you can go to the RV Bay Publications website, and the first page marker, let's see, it says National Identification Cards, Proclamations, and Sealing. And, we would highly suggest you read the entire page, but for the proclamation, find everything.
So
and so I could find it all on the website. Is there like support or anything? Is there a number we can call?
Well, email is the best. You do have a phone number
for
to
guidance,
call.
or if we need additional support while doing the paperwork.
Well, that depends on what kind of support
if you can send an email to gsnama7@gmail.com. That's also on the paperwork, and you'll get an automatic reply that has additional information. So if you pay attention to that, you can. There's additional contact information there.
Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Yeah. So in other words, in short, and very important question that she's asking, it really is advised that people go to the site, to that page, and all that they need to know is there, rather than listening to a friend say, "Oh, here, I'll print it down for you," because oftentimes they miss the daggone directions and instructions.
Yeah. Please read the website. Homeboys and homegirls are great. I got homegirls, homeboys, but I need the word. And everybody should go to the website and read the word for yourself. Don't depend on somebody telling you, because there's so many errors are made that way, and it pains me, but I have to return errors. They have to be corrected, and then you have to admit them, and that can make a short process very long. And so, there's one more caller, and we got like less than 1 minute before we're going to be kicked off. So
to that sister also, if you go to that section in regard to the proclamations, you will see the email that we just gave you. It's right there, and when you go to that email, you'll get some other information. That's how it's done. All right.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Right.
I appreciate you.
All right.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right. Peace.
All right. Peace and love. All right, and with that, we shall see everyone tomorrow for Moor Heritage and History School at the National Theater near Harlem. Doors open at 6:30. Class begins at 7:30. And Sisters Standing on Law this Sunday, 1 p.m. Make sure and join us.
We're going to talk about bloodline. We're going to talk about bloodline. Since we keep saying nationality is bloodline, we're going to break it all the way down this Sunday. I'm sorry. So that there's no misunderstanding at all. Biology, the whole daggone thing. It's